Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen of Tennessee. He's a member of the Judiciary Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. And I quickly want to get to the breaking news. According to the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Elijah Cummings, senior White House officials used personal emails to conduct official government business. The chairman alleges that Jared Kushner in particular used a private messaging app to communicate with foreign leaders. So what concerns does all that raise for you?
Well, one of the first things Jared Kushner did when he came into the White House was to try to see if they couldn't get a back channel between the White House and Russia. There is communications that this administration, or Jared Kushner particularly, and he's Trump's guy, didn't want the American public to be able to access, or even the CIA and the security departments to be able to access between the White House and Russia. Now you see they're using their private communications to communicate with people. There's an issue about Kushner and Ivanka not being cleared for security clearances through the proper channels and having the president have to get involved to give them those security clearances, and they still don't have the top security clearance because of concerns at the CIA. And those concerns probably related to private business that they could have with countries that were involved, Israel and the Middle East. The concern obviously is that Jimmy Breslin is writing this administration's handbook. It's the gang that couldn't shoot straight. They can't get in their minds what the law is and comply with it. They want to do everything off-channel, away from the public's eye, and it makes you wonder, what are they hiding? Just like the White House not releasing anything about the Putin-Trump meetings. Everything with Russia is quiet and secret, and it raises lots of issues.
Well, on those meetings, the White House has rejected Democratic requests for documents concerning President Trump's communications with Putin. Do you agree with your Democratic colleagues that Congress needs to see these documents?
Unquestionably, we do. Every individual elected to Congress takes an oath to uphold the Constitution and protect the United States against enemies foreign and domestic. One of our duties in oversight is to see to it that our foreign policy is done for the protection of our country and for the betterment of the American society. We can't have anybody using foreign policy for their personal benefits. And with this administration, there's lots of issues that have been raised concerning emoluments clause, concerning involvement with Russia, concerning business practices at 666 Fifth Avenue, and who financed that, and Deutsche Bank, and who financed Trump, to where it's a legitimate concern of the Congress to look into if there is an influence with this administration in Russia.
Let me interrupt.
And so we need to see what they talked about.
Well, let's talk about the White House response. The White House, in a formal letter to Congress, the legal counsel says that the U.S. Constitution assigns responsibility for dealing with foreign affairs to the president, and that all presidents over the years have a right to keep their communications with foreign leaders confidential. So why should lawmakers have the right to review these communications between the president and Putin?
I don't know that they have a right to keep them confidential from the Foreign Affairs Committee in the House and or the Intelligence Committee. And I think that if subpoenas are issued, we'll let a court decide that. But particularly in these circumstances where they tried to hide so much from the American public in their communications with Russia, and here's a meeting, and you want to know, did they discuss the Trump Tower in Moscow? Did they discuss lifting sanctions? Did they discuss, different situations in the Baltic, and maybe assurances that we wouldn't invoke Article 5 NATO if they went into the Balkans or the Baltic, both of which are possible Russian sites of aggression or further incursions into Ukraine. This is something the American people have entrusted their government officials with. It's part of Congress's oversight responsibilities. And for him to say that he won't do it because he thinks we could use it for partisan political gain, he sees everything in black and white. He doesn't see things in terms of governmental oversight and governmental practices. And that's what this is. It's because the last 2 years he's had the Republicans act as if they were an agent of the White House. Both our Judiciary Committee and the Intelligence Committee, and David Nunes ran over there whenever they asked him to, but it's a new game in town.
The special counsel, Robert Mueller's report, could be delivered to the new Attorney General at any moment. Do you trust that Bill Barr, the Attorney General, will be, as he testified during his confirmation hearings, as transparent as possible within Justice Department guidelines?
Well, as possible leaves him a lot of leeway for interpretation. No, I don't feel comfortable about it. I don't think Donald Trump would have made him and appointed him Attorney General if he thought there would be any problem. After Jeff Sessions refused to recuse himself and be his attorney, he wanted to find, as I think he said it, his Roy Cohen. Where is his Roy Cohen, his Attorney General? He wants his guy in there to take care of him and to be the Attorney General as if he was the personal attorney for the president and not the attorney for the United States of America. So I think he probably went to the Federalist Society or somebody and said, get me a guy, and they got Bill Barr. I have to think that the fix is in. That's why the House Republicans voted for the resolution we had last week to have the report made public. That's why Trump is saying he wants to see it public, because he knows Barr's not going to make much of a report, and it's going to be flavored toward Trump, and he has no problem with that being released. But the full Mueller report, what Mueller gives to Barr, should be seen by the Congress, and Robert Mueller should be required to testify before the Judiciary Committee, Intelligence Committees, and others about what he has found. The American public paid for that report. The American public deserves to see those reports.
We'll find out fairly soon whether any of that is going to happen. Congressman Steve Cohen, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome, Wolf.